Greetings, Reelers. My name is Philip, and together with my wife Sherry and two of our friends, Chris and James, we're Fellowship of the Reel. 4 people who love talking about movies almost as much as we do watching them. We hope you will join us as we dig deep into cinematic masterpieces, and some that are, well, maybe not. You have an opportunity to be the 5th host of our little show. Click the link in the show notes and leave us a voice message telling us what movie you would like us to review. You can also reach out on our Facebook page, Fellowship of the Reel. From all of us at Fellowship of the Reel, thanks for listening. Okay, on with the show.
Are you recording this?
Studying a movie in the mechanical level, I think can really bring some revelation about it.
I believe that no one sets out to make a bad movie, with the exception of...
On paper, this should work.
Yeah, this should work.
But I just don't like it.
That's your own fault if you haven't seen it.
Way over budget, start cutting scenes.
Right.
Even the actors don't know what that movie is about. Shit, I wish I wrote that.
Which I love the title, but that movie's trash.
Well, it's oatmeal, man. It's good for you. Okay. We are Fellowship of the Reel, 4 friends talking about movies. This time, the first 4 episodes, we thought we would do a tribute to Mr. Bruce Willis. If you have heard our previous episodes, or if you are a movie fan, you may know that he has been diagnosed with a debilitating mental disorder and probably will not be among us or making movies anymore. So we thought we would start off with a tribute of sorts. Each of us pick one movie by Bruce Willis. Most notably, we have not picked Die Hard. We thought that deserved a episode all on its own, and it does, but we did pick 4 Bruce Willis movies, and this one was my pick, and it is a 2006 release of 16 Blocks. We'll start off with the synopsis and box office. The synopsis reads, an aging alcoholic cop is assigned the task of escorting a witness from police custody to a courthouse 16 blocks away. There are, however, chaotic forces at work that prevent them from making it in one piece. Fairly decent summary, I guess. That's essentially what the movie's about. This is an action flick. It had a budget of $52 million, and it grossed $65 million, so it just made its money back. Nothing astounding. It didn't bomb at the box office, but just made its money back, which I guess made everybody happy, but not happy enough to really get crazy about, because it seems to have had a lackluster reception from both the critics and the audience. Critic score on Tomato Meter is 56%, with the audience being just a little higher at 57%. To me, that was kind of surprising, because I really, really, really like this movie. And we can get into why here in a little while as we break it down, but to me, those scores are not indicative of how good I think this movie is. Chris may have a different view on this, but I was hard-pressed to figure out exactly what kind of genre this movie was in terms of Blake Snyder's genres. So I have 3 listed, and I'm not entirely sure which one it really is, because I can see it being any one of these. The first one I picked was a Golden Fleece movie, which is a road trip movie, which involves a road, a team, and a prize. Certainly the road is the 16 blocks. The team is Bruce Willis and Mos Def, and then the prize, of course, is the culmination of them being able to achieve their goal and so on and so forth. The other one, and I suspect this may be the one that it really is Dude with a Problem, an innocent, a sudden event, and then life or death. I could see that being put in there. And then also Buddy Love, an incomplete hero, a counterpart, and a complication. And I suspect that if I was hard-pressed, it would either be Dude with a Problem or Buddy Love, but I sure can see it being a road movie.
Yeah, I think it's I probably have to go with Buddy Love, because with the Golden Fleece, so they go, I guess, 16 blocks on the road a little bit, but the 2 of them is not a team, in my opinion. That's not enough people, right?
Yeah.
And then the prize has to be, I think, material. Like
something actually more.
Yeah, like
okay.
Because there's a lot of, because they talk about Blake Snyder talks about the sports fleece, right? So that's winning the championship, winning the title.
Yeah. All right.
Even in Star Wars, it's Golden Fleece, but it's getting the Death Star planes. It's got to be something you can hold on to, I think.
Okay. All right.
Not that there's not character growth in those stories, but
no, right. So what are you saying? A Dude with a Problem or Buddy Love?
I think it's Buddy Love, because my issue with Dude with a Problem is it talks about an innocent.
Yeah,
he's far from innocent.
No.
Yeah, so
we We learned quite. We learned that he is not. He even says, "I am not a good guy, Eddie."
Even though he is minding his own business, you could argue that most characters are minding their own business when the catalyst
Sure,
happens
right,
to them.
right.
So, yeah, I think it's buddy love.
Okay, so then we'll go with that because I have that as
because I think it's a lot of buddy loves are two-handers, like they're each other's B stories,
Yep,
and they
true.
both change. Where I think that rings true here.
Yeah, I did find the structure interesting in the sense that the opening, and this is how I saw it. The opening image is really what I'm calling a midpoint or a false defeat. It may even be a Dark Night of the Soul or whatever. When we get to that point,
Yeah, I was confused, but I know where you're going now.
yeah.
Sorry.
So the movie opens. Bruce Willis is on a bus. This is my last will and testament. They're going to come to you, and they're going to tell you some things, Audrey, and what they're telling you is not true. You know, I was just trying to do a little good or whatever. So essentially, at that point, we flash back, and so the first half of the movie is essentially almost like a flashback, right? Because we are in the past,
Yeah,
working our way back to the present, and then from there on, we go into the rest of the story or whatever. So I have it. I think I labeled it as the midpoint, but going through it, it could be like bad guys close in or whatever.
yeah, I think I have that moment as all is lost. Like later on when we
Okay.
I'd like to say, so since we're kind of we're just getting started with it. Obviously, this movie stars Bruce Willis in it, but the co-star in this, the guy's name is Mos Def.
we did skip all of that. Oops.
He's been an actor in a lot of things. He's also a hip hop artist, so he's been very prevalent. Some of his first stuff goes back to the late '80s, so he's been in lots of stuff. I think here recently, the movie before this one was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, okay, I've seen him in that.
You know, just his IMDb goes on and on. Most notably, where I first saw him was Chappelle's Show. He's, you know, he was a character actor on those things. He's been in a lot more stuff than I thought. The Italian Job.
I've seen that too.
Monsters Ball. He's been in a lot of stuff. So I thought this was his first thing
I
when I saw this movie, but
Yeah.
he's been in the game a long time. He really carries his weight in this movie. I think he does a really good job.
No, he is absolutely.
His motivation, he's just an innocent guy who saw a thing and he just wants to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And evil forces, if you will, come across to him. And then you got your Bruce Willis stacked up against the main, I guess you would call him main antagonist.
Yeah.
That guy's played by David Morse.
I like him.
Yep.
He's been in a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, I like his attitude and his lines in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of character actors in this. You know, you've seen their face before, but you don't know what else they're in. Yeah, but this guy, Green Mile, Hurt Locker, Contact, 12 Monkeys. You know, his
Disturb you.
Yeah, he's one of these guys where you've seen his face, you may not have heard his name.
Yeah, good character.
Definitely character actor. So he's a solid villain in this.
Yeah,
solid villain.
One of the bad cops was he's also on the Netflix show Bloodline. He plays one of the sheriffs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
One of the many guys that Bruce Willis handcuffs to a pole and takes his gun. But
Batista from Dexter as well.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah. As soon as you start saying it, I was like, oh yeah. I like him a lot.
Yeah, me too.
In those, and he's sort of a background guy in this, but yeah, there's a lot of. But most definitely, like, okay, so as I was looking at this, like his performance got like an award at the Razzies or something for most annoying dialogue or most annoying voice. But
he's got a voice that takes some getting used to.
Yeah, but
it annoyed the hell out of me.
It didn't
the first time and less this time, but the first time I saw this movie, like that's one of the things I was dreading when I was like, oh
no, I was
16
totally,
blocks. I got to deal with his voice again.
I was totally on board. I don't know why. I really like his.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I just like his performance in this role.
No, his performance is awesome, and it's very much. I guess what annoyed me less this time, and again, I guess maybe went into watching it with the intent of analyzing it more than I probably did the first time. His performance and his character is very Rain Man-esque.
Sure.
And I didn't pick up on that at all the first time, so that to me allowed to not be as annoyed as much because he's got kind of some issues or whatever you want to go on. But but his voice still annoyed me. Jack Mosley's a lot of there's a lot of money in birthday cakes.
Little Mike Tyson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but that's the New York.
Sure.
They was set in New York, correct?
I think it was set in New York. It was filmed in in Toronto or some Canadian city. I can't remember.
Gotcha.
Ontario, maybe. I can't remember, but it was supposed to be New York, but I don't think it was New York.
Nice. Okay.
Well, so obviously this was directed by Richard Donner.
Yes,
lots of credits. If you're listening to this and you're a movie fan, you know Superman, Superman movies, the originals, the Goonies, Lethal Weapon, Scrooged, Radio Fly. Just my favorite on here, probably the one I've watched the most, is probably Conspiracy Theory.
Yeah, that one's very good too.
Yeah, I knew him from some of my favorite movies, but I was not aware that a lot of the movies I like were also Richard Donner. Yeah,
So, I think, I don't know if this is one of his top movies that's my favorite. It's definitely a good movie. I think this one stands out as a little bit different than the other movies. Just the way the story goes, the acting in it. I think this stands out as some of his best work, but maybe not his most well-known work.
Right.
So I'm definitely a fan of it.
Yeah, no, when we had talked about, I guess I made a comment that I had, kind of ranked these before we started watching them.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen everything but Blind Date. And in my head, 16 Blocks was going to be the one that I was going to enjoy the least because I'd watched it before and thought, it was all right. And I don't feel like there was a whole lot going on there. And then, Blind Date was obviously takes the cake on being the worst. And then, there's so much more going on in this movie that I didn't notice.
Oh, yeah,
before. When we appreciate a lot of stuff that I didn't see before.
The first time I watched this, I watched it with my girlfriend, and you watch movies like, oh, I know how this is gonna go, and she had mentioned, oh, they get there, everything's happy in the end. I'm like, oh, this is a little weird because that's not how it ends.
Yeah.
And so her going into it with that is just going to be a normal story structure because she doesn't know anything about that stuff.
Sure.
She just knows how it's going to go. And I wouldn't say it's a twist at the ending, but it's an unexpected ending.
Yeah.
Right.
So even she got it wrong. She was.
I kept bugging him. I'm gonna just tell me, do they make it to the courthouse? Just tell me. Are they gonna? Are they? What's? Is he really gonna? I mean, just on and on the whole movie.
No, she was actually like harping on me. So she was.
I said, please tell me. He wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, of course not.
So this is your first time seeing it when y'all watched it together for this? Okay.
Yes.
So spoiler alert, they don't make it.
Well, okay. There is an alternate ending to this movie. Okay, on the disc. Okay, so there's the theatrical ending, and this is the ending that was actually written and that they filmed. But then they went back and thought, well, maybe it should be this way. And I've watched that alternate ending, and it is garbage. They made the completely correct choice in how they ended this movie.
In the alternate version, how does that end?
Okay, so in the alternate, his partner, Frank or whatever,
David Morse,
the big heavy, right? They're pursuing him the whole movie, right? So you still have the scene at the end with him going up in the elevator and this kind of thing, going to testify. And when in the ending it is now, David Morse gets on the intercom and says, he's on his way up, take him out. Well, in the alternate ending, they said they wanted to create more empathy. So David Morse gets on there and says, stand down, forget it, we've lost. And either someone doesn't get that message or decides they're not going to do it and kills Bruce Willis. So Jack Mosley dies, and the only evidence they have then is that tape recorder, but they're still able to bust him because he's got his tape recorder. And the letter that Eddie sends in the cake and everything, they rewrote that letter, and it is nowhere near as heartrending and intimate as the letter that is read in the current ending. Endearing and friendly and
interesting.
It is a totally, from the word go, unsatisfying, and I'm sure it tested audiences that way, and so they decided not to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, just forget that there's an alternate ending because it should not exist. The way they ended that movie is absolutely the correct way that they should have.
Well, cool. You want to get into it?
Yeah.
So you have your opening image actually being the at the bus or whatever, like when he's, hey, this is my last will and testament. Because I guess for me, I think it's a prologue device. I went ahead and did like his opening image before all that happens. Like,
yes, I think that is the midpoint. I don't think that's the opening image.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your opening image then?
My opening image is so it sums him up perfectly. But there's the apartment scene. Somebody has to watch.
Drug bust.
Yeah,
it was a drug bust,
and somebody has to watch the apartment. And one of the characters, who's actually on Blue Bloods now, Sherry said, "Oh, that's one of the guys on Blue Bloods. He's older now, but anyway, says who's downstairs we don't need." And of course, it's Jack Mosley.
Yeah. He comes walking up with a half full coffee cup.
Yeah, he pours it out. And his opening image is he's an alcoholic, man, and so he pours out his coffee, scans this drug dealer's apartment till he finds a bottle of booze, and sits on the couch and pours straight liquor into.
Turns on the air conditioner.
Yeah, no, like I guess what I wrote down was deadbeat with dead bodies. Like this guy is such a deadbeat and so like disconnected and just dead inside and dead with life that being around dead bodies doesn't bother him. Yeah. He searches through their cabinets. He turns on the AC. He reads their paper. Like I very much got the impression this guy's done this once or twice, and it doesn't bother him at all. No. Like, he just wants his booze and reads his paper.
And he was on his way home, and they stopped him and said, "Hey, we got a job."
Yeah, later in a few minutes.
There.
Yeah, later they.
He didn't squawk it. You want me to sit with some dead people? Nothing. None of that.
No.
Just
Well, I wrote down something similar. Jack's sitting amongst the dead, waiting. Essentially, The Walking Dead. He's just.
Yeah.
I don't. At some point, I became so enamored of this movie that maybe I started seeing things that weren't there. So you tell me if I'm going off the rails. His name is Mosley, and I don't think that means anything except it sounds like Mosey, just sort of shuffling through life. I don't know that I don't think that's intentional.
Mosley, yeah.
Mosley. I think that's me reading stuff into it in retrospect. But
Jack Mosley.
One of the cool little trivia things is to film those, Bruce Willis would put a pebble in his shoe and walk with that limp.
Oh, nice to get.
So he did that for that character's motivation.
Cool.
I guess.
And so
keep you from forgetting. Yes. And hey, Bruce, weren't you limping with the other leg last time?
Yeah,
yeah.
Part of the opening image, I thought it was interesting because there's a scene where after that he's walking back to his office and he's in the hallway. I didn't notice it the first time, but the second time, like
that guy.
He's going to his office and he actually passes his office door because he's just in such a haze and he's shuffling, and he has to turn around and go back to his door because like his door's here and a couple inches down he goes to another door that's not his and has to go back. But he's walking down the hall and that younger or this really fit, and you could tell by his face, this no nonsense fit cop passes him in the hall, and Bruce Willis sort of looks up at him or whatever, and it's the contrast, right? And so this is his opening image. He is the alcoholic, past his prime, down and out cop, and he's being passed by.
I felt like that guy even made a face, like Bruce Willis smelled. You could almost smell the alcohol on him because later on, Most Def has a comment where hey man, you don't smell good. He doesn't smell too good.
He goes to the secretary, and the first thing the secretary does is throw him a pack of Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so we'll talk about it. He shakes it, yeah. But at the end, hey, be careful, and he pulls it out and he's tick, tick, tick. So it's a bookend of the Tic Tacs. At the beginning, those Tic Tacs are to cover up his breath. Sure, to cover up his breath at the end, but when he's shaking those Tic Tacs at the end of the movie, he's not the same guy that's shaking those Tic Tacs at the beginning. So I thought that was a nice sort of callback. There's just all kinds of references of him screwing up his paperwork, and he's got the lick. There's like 3 or 4 references right off the bat to him getting alcohol.
Right.
Yeah. So this we are without a doubt who this guy is in the setup, in the opening image or whatever. Any other thoughts on it? Okay.
I'm good on setup. Yep.
I thought the theme stated and then we're introduced to the ticking clock. 118 minutes to get 16 blocks. Right, is the initial. And I didn't count them, but I wrote them down, but I didn't count how many. Every several minutes there's a reference. Every several scenes there's a reference to the clock, to how many blocks they've come.
Nice.
So there is a constant reminder of this ticking clock and distance throughout the movie, which I thought was pretty good. It stayed on it. The theme stated, I think came fairly early, right? It's almost mystical, right? Because Eddie will talk about there are signs everywhere. The story he keeps telling is about it helps you decide where you are in your life, being at the right place at the time. You believe that? You believe in that? So this whole movie is about being where you're supposed to be. And Bruce Willis at this time, Jack Mosley at this time is not where he's supposed to be. And later he'll say some things that sort of reinforce that. But yeah, the theme is, are you where you're supposed to be? You should be where you're supposed to be. Things happen for a reason, and
but you could argue that he is where he's supposed to be by saying.
Yeah, no. I think yes, because he said initially
you're the wrong guy, Jack. All right, I take it back. You are the wrong guy.
Guys like you make life longer and this kind of thing. Anyway,
well, wouldn't you say that the main premise of that movie is him dealing with the sins of his past?
For sure,
and that's why he's miserable, and he's in the right place.
He was not at the right place.
Yeah,
where he should have been. As a corrupt cop or whatever.
Yeah, because of what he had done previously, he was one of those cops.
Yeah, so I had some of that written down, similar stuff, but also had people don't change. Like he says that at one point. I think Bruce Willis says that people don't change, and then like that's it's both of them change, right? They're both trying to change their life, and obviously Most Def's closer to being.
He's
changed.
Already on that road.
Yeah, already on that road where Bruce Willis has to get on that road.
Yeah, and
he's movie. But like he even comes back at the bus scene. You said people don't change, and it's you're killing me. But anyhow,
you're killing me. Yeah. Right.
And he gives all these references to the people that Chuck buried and the other people that changed, and I like how their names were on the cake at the end.
Yeah. Well, there's a scene, and I didn't catch it the first time, and again, I think this is intentional. Okay. I do believe this is intentional, and it's not something you might ever notice. But obviously, Jack Mosley is a corrupt cop. That's part of the problem. He was with these other cops, fixing cases, or whatever. And I noticed that. So when Jack Mosley is at his office right there at the beginning, and he's throwing the empty in the drawer or whatever, well, it's either as he sits down or as he stands up. There's all that bulletin board behind him, and right behind Jack is a sign that's. I'm sure it's about reporting corruption or whatever, in your workplace. But all you see is the word corruption.
Yeah, nice.
Right behind his head, and I'm like, that's intentional. That's got to be.
It's cool that it's a sign too, because there's signs everywhere.
There's signs everywhere, right?
That's cool.
And so these are all, especially after watching this movie, I'm like, man, Richard Donner, yes sir.
Right.
I think all this stuff is intentional, and there's some more of it. But yeah, I noticed that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, even I guess on the theme of change, like being reborn. And like Eddie is interested in making cakes, specifically birthday cakes.
Birthday cakes.
Like it could have been anything. It could have been making donuts or something, right? Or any other profession. But it's and the whole thing about him not knowing his birthday, right? He didn't know his real birthday. Was today really your birthday? I think today really is his birthday. He's being reborn that day. So is Jack.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all the stuff about birthday cakes.
Yeah, birthdays are new beginning. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I thought that was a choice, So there was this, and again, I don't know, but it has to be a conscious choice because it kept being brought into frame. So I think there's these symbols of change, right? And I couldn't ever decide what kind it was, but 2 or 3 times brought into frame is that bird flapping on the dashboard of that bad guy's van with the flapping wings. Now, I don't know how you want to phrase that, but there's no reason to waste a shot on that unless you're trying to tell us something. And I think it's a symbol. I wanted to say it was an albatross for the sake of, you have an albatross around your neck, which is a symbol of something dragging you down. I don't know.
It's in the bad guys, though, right? It's not in his dashboard.
Right.
It's the guys in the van.
Yes.
That first try to take him out.
Yes, but it's got flapping wings.
So
I don't know if that's a symbol of, taking flight or, free as a bird, or I don't know. But for some reason, Donner on 2 or 3 different occasions wanted to bring that bird into frame.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, to me, I guess I thought when I just saw it, I didn't put, much stock in what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was more of just him establishing kind of where we're at. That okay, the bad guys are in a van that has this, but it could have been a bobblehead. It could have been anything, right? So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what we're setting up. But yeah, I mean, he didn't make it a bobblehead. Maybe it is now.
Yeah, and so I have no way of, like I said, I started seeing the signs everywhere, right? Right. I don't know, So I did think it was interesting, and Mos Def does this later when Jack Mosley is checking Mos Def out, right? Eddie, the cop is standing there, and there's a boxing match on the television in the background, a boxing match, right? Later in his sister's apartment, when he's getting his gun or whatever, Mos Def goes in the bathroom, and I guess he's trying to psych himself up, but he's doing the boxing, and I'm like, okay, well, see, this has got to be intentional. They're in a fight for their lives. They're in a boxing match with evil forces or whatever, so all this sort of, like, I'm just like, if you're going to film this, take the time and the forethought to put stuff in there that the audience may never see, but that reinforces your, these nuances. I just thought it was woven and intricate, and I thought, this is great. I'm seeing stuff, And then, of course, it doesn't help that he says there's signs everywhere. But I think it has to be intentional. Because you're framing your set. You're taking the time to put a television in there, finding a clip of a boxing match,
right?
Probably having to get rights to it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
So signs everywhere, signs, he says, and that's why I said the movie is almost mystical at this point. Being where you're supposed to be. Do you believe in that? And then there's this. So there's lots of symbols, but there's early on there's a big contrast and callback 2 or 3 times. Almost every time that they reference Mosley's alcohol, they also reference Eddie's cookbook, right? So Eddie is after that cookbook. He will not leave without that cookbook as much as Jack wants that bottle.
Yeah.
These are what they're clinging to.
Gotcha.
You know,
those are the things they need to drag through the movie with them.
Yes, one needs to cling to it, and the other needs to let it go or whatever.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and I also thought it was interesting, unless I missed something, when we're introduced to Bruce Willis, like everyone that he encounters is asking something of him. Hey Jack, we need you to come up here and do this with babysit these bodies. Hey Jack, where's your report? All that stuff. They're asking things of him. The first when he meets Eddie Bunker, right? Is Mustaf's name. When he meets him, that's the first character that ask him if he's okay. Instead of asking something of him, they're asking how he is. Hey man, are you okay? You don't look too good. Like it's very much a contrast to everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you look depressed or something. Most people want to like to be right.
So they get signed out, and he's asking, "I need my book, and I was supposed to get a suit
in a gray suit.
Supposed to get a gray suit,
a 3-piece suit, nice buttons. Yeah, it was great.
Yes, a lot is made of clothes or whatever. He needs a suit because he needs to change.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And then I like later on. I mean, when he gets his suit, because the way he gets the suit is to get out of it. Bruce Willis comes up with I'm going to disguise you as a hostage.
Yeah.
Put on this suit and. Even though he's a nice guy, like he didn't know Jack at the beginning, right? When if that had happened earlier in the movie, I don't know that he would gone back to save Jack. But he puts it all together. They're gonna, I'm free, but they're gonna kill Jack.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So he goes back in his suit, right? So he has changed. Once he gets his suit, he's changed and he goes back.
He's the man he was meant to become. Yeah. Now he needs to help Jack.
He couldn't get the suit earlier on because he hadn't earned it yet.
Right. And then so. Mustaf's got, it ain't Miller time or whatever when he stops just before the.
Yeah, he goes in to get alcohol for the 16-block trip.
And the whole time I got something very important I was supposed to do. I got something very important.
He wanted to get to court, do his thing, and be gone.
Because he's got to be at the Port Authority by noon because he's got the 35,000.
Yeah, for a long time I thought it was the court appointment, but it's get the Port
10 and 12.
Stuff.
Yeah. So Jack goes into this liquor store. It ain't Miller time. He goes into and he knows the people by name, right?
Yeah, and he knows the bartender later on by name. Yeah,
he knows all the stops.
Knows them all.
But he buys the bottle and it's like $17.50. Well, apparently he hands them probably a 20. And they say, "Do you want the change?" "No, I don't want the change."
Oh, nice. I missed that.
Well, maybe I better take the change. I might need it. And that's just a throwaway line. But no, it isn't. I believe it isn't.
Yeah, no, that's
wow.
Cool.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, I don't want the change. Well, maybe I better take the change. I might need it.
Right.
At that point in the story too, he's being forced. He's at the threshold of the change in the story.
Yeah.
No, I don't want the change, but change is literally in your car.
Yeah.
You're on your way to it.
Yeah. Because when he's given the task, he actually says, "Ain't you got some mutt to do this?" This is how he's viewed as the mutt, right?
Right.
I don't want the change. I just thought, well, you could have said anything there, but you said that. You had the character say that. So I think that's nuanced, right? I think it's just it all. If you can have a line that doesn't contribute to theme or a line that does, a good writer director is going to go with the line that does. Yeah.
Because they could have had him just buy it and you never even hear about the exchanging of money and stuff.
Yeah, right. He just wanted the alcohol. He don't care about the change. Yeah. But there it is.
I do like how those guys attack at that moment, right, and try to kill Mustaf while he's in there buying his alcohol, and everything we've seen up to this point leads us to believe Mustaf's going to die.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is the wrong guy. This alcohol. He's more interested in alcohol. He is not. And I like the reveal that he shoots him or whatever from behind. And
you hear the gunshot. You're like, oh, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. And then his head falls
into
the
Sherry
windshield.
was like, thought that. And
when I was standing there holding, Bruce Willis seems surprised. His character seems surprised that he did it.
Yes.
But I like how that's, well, all right, there's more to this guy than the alcohol.
He was not always like
this. Think he is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you better give me that change. I'm gonna need that. Yes, he says, you better give me that change. I'm gonna need that. I'm like, okay, nice. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
now the hunt is on. It's why are these guys trying to kill you? What did you see? What did you?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I have that as sort of the setup and the catalyst being a hit on Eddie is stopped by Jack. Right.
That's what I have. Yeah.
Bottles
when they attack him, and then the debate is kind of what are they doing? And then when they David Morse and the other cops corner Mosley and Eddie in the bar.
Yes.
And he, Morse talks to him basically, do what you usually do, Jack.
Yeah, do what you always do.
Yeah, do what you always do. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I feel like that's the debate.
Absolutely.
As soon as he shoots the guy that's about to execute Mustaf, that's his breaking the two.
Yeah, as soon as
I'm not going to look away this time.
And I think it's to me, it works because everybody knows what it means. They hand him the bottle and he puts it down, right? When he puts that bottle down, it's on, right?
Like you usually do. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not going to act like, and so, absolutely debate because he's watching and he knows that Eddie gets real quiet when those guys come in. And now Bruce was like, okay, what's going on here? Yep. And as he's learning, you could see him mentally debating.
Yeah, like that was all visual.
Yes, taking Frank's offer or not taking Frank's offer. And, of course, he takes Frank's offer. And I think when he leaves that bar, he's into the second act.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
do you think they're in that conversations that we're having when Eddie, because Eddie's Mostaf, when he saw his reaction and figured out, oh, he's involved in implicating these guys, did he know I'm part of that too, and what I'm doing, sitting this aside and going to help him? Because at that point, he knew Mostaf was going to be testifying against him.
I think based on his decision at the end, I think this has been eating at him.
Yeah, the ante is down on the
so
table.
Miserable. Yeah,
yeah,
and this is his chance.
And he's not gonna, because later on he'll confess about the guy who stuck his gun in his mouth. The old man had a heart attack. He was gonna take down our case. This is a repeat of that, and he in his mind he can't let that happen again.
Right.
But yes, I think at that point, on some level, he is because Frank, whatever says, you go out that door, I can't help you. And to me it was brilliant. He says, you go out that door, everything changes. I said, yeah, because it's the second act. Everything will change as you step
another
out.
door too. You talked about that.
Another door.
I printed this out, man. I was blown away by this. Right? Okay, so the door is physically the second act, but then I noticed what's on the wall. It's a Dos Equis beer sign, right? Okay, so he goes to the door, turning his back on alcohol, and it's 2 X's. Dos, second act, 2 X's.
Nice.
This is me reading too much into it. And I'm like, you could have had any beer sign, right?
Well, and they also didn't have to corner them in a bar either. Like,
sure.
Then that adds to the turning his back on alcohol.
Yes.
Maybe could have been a liquor store. It could have been in anything. It could have been.
But just in that, there are 4 references to the theme and story, right? The second act. I circled it. I was like, that's being said. I don't care who you are.
That's right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you could have a Budweiser sign or a Dos Equis, and you're saying he is accepting the call,
right?
That how can that not be? I don't know. I want that to be intentional, man.
It probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I've learned of you two talking about movies, nothing on screen should be accidental.
Shouldn't be.
Everything is placed correctly. Everything.
Paying attention to what you're doing.
Yeah. So everything you see on film meant to be there.
And I, especially with somebody like Donner, I would think.
Yeah, seasoned veteran. Really. Yeah,
So now I think we're in the act 2, right? So. Yep. And I think Frank actually says, again, there's constant reminders of the clock, but he actually says at some point the clock is ticking. Clock's ticking, whatever. Reminding the audience that this is going to be almost a real-time kind of situation where...
Yeah, I wrote a note for Funny Games. You own 16 blocks in New York in 90 minutes. So, yeah, I guess maybe there was a reference to 90 minutes or something somewhere around there when I wrote that, I guess, right?
Yes, because initially it's 118 minutes.
Yeah.
Then I think at some point, maybe it becomes 90. At some point, it becomes 7 blocks.
Yeah.
At some point, you see a clock that says like 9 o'clock, so they have an hour. And then at some point, at the very end, and there's probably others, you see a clock and it's like 5 till 10 when the jury's going to get out. So the clock, almost every couple of scenes, is brought into frame or whatever.
So now they've exited the bar.
Yeah, and I just wrote down all the fun and games, the various shootouts and this kind of thing.
What was the next scene after the bar? They go...
First stop is his sister's apartment, the ruse that catches Jack and Eddie a fish. I guess his name is Bob. This is where they...
handcuff one of the detectives.
Yes. Okay, kid, he's in there talking and this happened several times, showing that Jack may be a drunk, but at some point he was a very clever
cop,
investigator and detective, because it started becoming a running joke almost that everybody who's chasing Jack is going to be handcuffed to a pole and have their gun taken at some point by Jack.
Right.
And even Frank, the main bad guy, at some point gets his, and it's a great line. They're coming down after the apartment or whatever, and the bad guy thinks that he's one-upped him finally. It can't be lucky every day. And then Mostaf, well, yeah, but it could be smart every day,
Right.
I was like, yeah. And that's Jack, right?
Yeah. You gave him a gun?
Yeah, you gave him a little gun, and
right.
I mean...
I don't remember where it's at, but somewhere in there, David Morse has a good line about, because there's all these references to him doing what he always does,
Yeah.
right? And then now he's not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he's talking to the police chief or what. I think he is. He says, we woke him up.
Yeah, I actually have that written down.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
Anyway,
it wasn't too long after the bar scene where he loses him, and they're talking on the phone. He's like, "Just let him go. Let us find him.
Yeah.
You just go home.
Right.
Like we're trying to give you an out, and he just will not.
Won't do it. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because most of runs away because he thinks he's like, you're the wrong dude. You're the wrong dude. And then,
Right.
and then he has to prove himself. All right, I was sorry. You're
Yeah,
right.
Eddie says, starting to think you're not the dude for this.
Yeah.
And then Frank had said, we woke him up. Hopefully he does what he always does,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's...
Yeah, he still has hope that he'll, revert back.
Find a bottle, go crawl into it, disappear.
Yeah.
So, okay, so something I started noticing, obviously it's about change, right? So everybody, people should change, everybody needs to change, whatever. There are so many references to going through passageways, right? So the next scene after the apartment is they're back on the street. Eddie finally discovers him, but before that, Jack discovers him, but before that, Eddie is trying to get through the turnstiles. And nobody's giving him passage. And if he can't get through there, he can't do what he has to do. He can't be where he needs to be.
Yeah, that's when he ran away, yeah.
And a cop waves him through, right? So a passageway through another door to get to the place where he needs to be.
Yeah, and the cop, I like how just that whole scene of the cop watching him at first, and he could pass judgment and go, all right, this guy's a loser, he's up to no good, but he gives him a second chance, right? Kind of thing, yeah. I mean, which is what Eddie's after the whole time. I mean, because he was a criminal, he has done some stuff, but he's trying to change his life,
And this cop who could have...
Because he baked a cake in prison, right, for one of the inmates, and that's when he realized,
Yeah, people started wanting... And he says, people started looking at me different.
Yep.
And that's what... Yeah. But Eddie says later, why you do that? Cops don't shoot other cops. Cops don't... Yep. Not for somebody like me, but it's two cops that have sort of helping him get on his way. Jack and then this transit cop, who sees these kind of people all the time. Right. Could have rousted him. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, and then that's echoed later on when they're on the run in the fun of games and they knock on, and it's again, knocks on the door of the old man. And the old man peeks through, I don't open my door. I never open my door. Click, he opens the door. And of course, Eddie sees this as mystical. You hear that, Jack? You hear that? He never opens the door.
Right. All
that designed to say that something almost mystical is happening here. This is the right place, the right time. For us, for Jack,
Right.
I thought that was kind of good. And earlier, when they're back on the street, before Jack is really on board with this, you're a thief, Eddie. You'll always be a thief. This kind of thing. So this play between change, not change, with events lining up to show that yes, the things are happening, signs everywhere. That people can change, and this is your time or whatever.
Yeah, even when they're separated by the wall, where David Morse is there and Eddie and Bruce Willis are on the other side of it. Yeah. And Morse is trying to convince, he's take a look at him, right? He's a criminal or whatever. Like all that, even that whole scene of him trying to, we were partners. All that, I think that's revealed when they were partners, or whatever, maybe. So yeah, it's him. All this going back and forth about going back against what turning against what you were, right? Because he's trying to say that Eddie can't change and people can't change, kind of thing. Yeah,
no, absolutely. When they're in the fun and games, when they're pinned down and Frank is having a conversation with Jack, talking about Eddie, he's always going to do what he always did. That phrasing is an exact match to I hope he does what he always does about. So all that, I think, obviously intentional or whatever. They shoot out and escape. They ride the elevator up to the apartments, knocking on doors, calls the DA, gives the wrong room number. This is the one with the old man.
Yeah.
The joke about you go, whatever. They have the laugh or whatever. Frank wants Eddie to change his clothes, and he hands him his shirt. Well, Eddie doesn't want that shirt, and he doesn't want the second shirt. Jack, yes. Jack hands Eddie, it's hot. I don't want that shirt. Well, how about this one? No, even the old man wouldn't wear that one, How about this one?
Yeah, that was funny.
Okay, so all this talk, obviously changing of clothes and stuff, but Frank is giving Eddie some clothes. Here, change this, change into this, change into this. The change can't be put on by someone else. The change has to be, you want that change. And I don't know if it's too much, but it was still in there. Eddie saying, no, I don't want that change. I don't want that shirt. I want that shirt.
Yeah.
So choosing the change that he wants, even with the simple idea of a shirt.
Sure.
All these references that could have gone anyway, something with the dressing and the change and taking on a different appearance or whatever. they leave the apartment. And there's that cool line: "Can't get lucky all the time." Yeah, but you can be smart every day. I thought, and then Eddie wants to kill that guy.
Sure.
Has a feel, and Jack being sort of the instrument who wasn't on board with Eddie, and probably still isn't, but doesn't want him to kill the guy either. Calls him the baker. You're a baker. All of a sudden he's not the thief, Eddie. You're always the thief. All of a sudden he's the baker.
Yeah, because if he does kill him, then he is exactly what Brink said he was.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And all right. So back on the street, on the bus, headed for the midpoint, false defeat is what I'm calling it.
That's what. Yeah, when the bus crashes and they're trapped with the hostages in the bus, that's I have that as a midpoint and a false defeat.
Yeah. Okay. So do I.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Morris and the SWAT team surround them. That's the bad guys close in. And there's nowhere for Eddie and Mosley to go.
Yes. Eddie talking about cakes. I thought that was a pretty poignant scene. I was on board.
Yeah, the birthday scene, asking the little girl about the birthday. That was a really good scene.
Yeah, I like that order.
When's your birthday?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Today's my birthday.
Yeah,
it's somebody's birthday every day. I think is.
Yeah, that's a good line too.
Yeah, no, it's
every day is somebody's birthday.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, right. Yeah,
there's a lot of money in birthday cakes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Got a lot of cake research in prison, I guess.
Yeah, well, he had all those recipes written there. Put my name first. I'm doing most of the work.
Yeah, that was good.
So the bad guys close in. I have as Frank telling the SWAT guy he shot 2 of us. Enough said, right? So he's setting up that to take him out. Another look at the clock. Eddie is dressed differently. Jack says, "You got your suit." When Eddie gets off and gone.
Yeah, they take the suit off of one of the hostages.
Yes, and
it magically fits this smaller guy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's right.
They exit, and he escapes in the crowd, I guess.
Yeah, he at this point he's able to get away, but he knows
have it as all is lost right there, the false victory, because he gets Eddie's getting away. He's not going to survive.
But you have all his losses
as coming up with a plan of putting Eddie in the suit and allowing him to escape. Yeah. It's a false victory. Like he's not going to survive himself, right? But Eddie's going to get away and make it to the courthouse.
I thought it wasn't courthouse. It was just go. It just get out of here.
Oh, I thought he was still going to go in and testify.
No,
he says Bruce Willis says nobody's going to testify. Eddie, we've lost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just run.
Just get out of here.
You'll never make it to the courthouse.
You'll never make it. They win, we lose.
Yeah.
Very much admitting defeat. It's not until Eddie comes back that I think Jack is able to.
Yeah, people can change.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah, you said people don't change. Yeah, and then he comes back.
You imagine big old, what's his name, stealing $300? Barry White stealing $300?
Right.
Barry White, he changed. I thought it worked, Yeah, all is lost. Nobody is testifying. This was a strange choice for me. The passengers sort of rat them out. Like they just sat there and they know... They can't believe these guys are criminals. I don't know this time. You just
he's in there waving a gun. Took me against my will. Yeah,
I guess I don't know. I just thought it was kind of shitty for the passengers to rat him out. No, he changed his suit. No. There's not 41 passengers out there. He's the only one left.
That's the thing that surprised me when they were on the phone. How many passengers in here? Most counts everybody. There's 31, 32. He goes, there's maybe 40.
Well, Bruce Willis
lied about it.
He was setting that up, and I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
there's maybe 30, and then. I'm just going to open the door and let them go while they're trying to round all these people up, maybe 40 people. That's when he slipped out. I was like, that is brilliant. Yeah. That was a brilliant move on his part.
Yeah.
Let him know, surprise him, because he knew they were coming in to kill him.
Yeah. But they knew there were exactly 12 people or something. They'd be counting them as they came out.
So when it's maybe 40, get him in a suit, get him out.
Right.
He'll be gone while they kill me. They'll be figuring this out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's again, Mosley is a cunning, sharp cop who has got something eaten at him and he needs to change or whatever. I thought it was very good. Dark Night of the Soul. So yeah, as I'm looking at this, I'm thought, well, maybe it's not a midpoint, maybe it's a Dark Night. Jack records his last words in Will and Testament, surrounded. Eddie thinking walks away. So it seems like at this point, this is the darkest moment, right? I mean, he's actually recording his last Will and Testament.
Yeah, I guess I had a little bit different because, sorry, I wasn't looking at all my notes. On the All Is Lost, like again, I had it as a false victory because Eddie's going to survive. He's come up with this plan to put him in a suit and let him slip out with the rest of the hostage. Yeah, I'm dead, but Eddie will survive or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been trying to save this dude's life the whole time. And then not only does Eddie come back, he kind of ruined that up. Eddie gets shot when he comes back, too. That's the All Is Lost to me.
Oh,
yeah. Eddie's shot, and here's this guy who came back and risked his life for me when I, to do the right thing. And I haven't been willing to do that this entire time, and I didn't do that before.
Yeah.
That's what Mosley's saying the whole time. And, because in the ambulance ride and all that stuff, that's why, that's his break into 3, his Dark Knight and all that is, because his break into 3 is finally doing the right thing.
Yes. Yeah.
That's when they escape on the bus. They get out.
Escapes on the bus, and then he gets shot when they're escaping.
Yeah, and they find his ex-wife ambulance driver.
Yeah,
gets him patched up and does the old shuffle.
Yeah, the switcheroo thing, which again, back to your point, is him outsmarting them.
Yes. I guess I had to break into 3 through another door. Eddie through the bus door, the bar door, the second act, the bus door, the third act. Examples of people changing, reminder to the theme. I guess I have, this could be, because I wasn't sure, I guess, at this point. This could be the dig deep down and preparing for the third act, in which case they take the bus to the third act. So the third act, when they're actually, because at that point, you're killing me, and so Bruce is no longer concerned about necessarily making his last will and testament, and they actually drive the bus, try to drive the bus away. So I thought maybe that's where the third act would start, which leaves about 30 minutes for the third act.
I would think, honestly, just looking at it from an outsider point of view, I would think the ambulance doors closing and the old switcheroo would be the start of the third of, okay, we missed him. Boom, the door slams.
Okay.
And the reveal. That's my uneducated opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're looking for, I guess, visual clues and doorways and stuff, like going with, I guess, the way I broke it down is, going to testify and do the right thing, take Eddie's place, right? To take Eddie's place and do the right thing finally. He runs into David Morse underneath the bridge or in the parking area, right? But that's, he's going through the basement to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I have that as like storming the castle or whatever. Because I have the break into 3 with the gathering of the team and all of that, storming the castle and all this. So gathering the team, Eddie has been shot. So he has to call his sister, call the other ambulances. So this is his team, right? This is the ones that are going to help him get to the castle, right? Take care of Eddie, take Eddie to the Port Authority. That whole conversation, in the ambulance. Then the guy saying, "This is as close as I can get you." The courtroom is obviously the castle, and the confrontation with Frank. So he's gathered his team, and now he's trying to storm the castle. Maybe this is the Hightower surprise, the setback. He's going to go to the castle, but here's Frank.
Yeah,
and he actually takes an elevator up, maybe up to the. Obviously it's not supposed to be viewed as a castle, but taking an elevator up to the tower, where he's supposed to be, whatever. So I have all that as sort of the third act.
Yeah, that's what I had too. I just had him, I guess, when he tells Eddie, you're not going to testify in the ambulance and I'm testifying, like when the decision to take Eddie's place, right?
Yes.
The guy just risked his life for him. Like he needs to do the right thing. Like that was to me, the breaking 3 beat. And then, everything else you just said is the finale and the storm of the castle.
I would say that the seed of that was planted in the bar when he realized, he's testifying against us.
Yeah.
I am going to take, I think that's where that was put in, is I'm going to take his place. He's going to get out of here scot-free. That's where the movie was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the payoff was the third act.
Yeah. Because at that point, as soon as he did that, everything changes, Jack, and everything will, because now you either have to let him testify or you have to testify because you have gone against these cops. So now something has to happen.
Right.
Yeah,
and then even again with the tape recorder, outsmarting everybody. And I was thinking about when you were talking about the alternative ending, having, I guess, Frank be, more sympathetic. Like I really like the way they have it. You see almost the hurt and betrayal on his face.
Sure.
That you recorded that conversation. That was private. That was us just doing our, it's, I don't know. He conveyed all that in his face. David Morse did. I really like that. Even though he's been going against them this entire movie, it's like he still had hope somehow that he's going to do what he always does.
Well, at some point earlier when they're having that standoffy, whatever, I guess we stopped being friends about 8:30 this morning. He goes, no, that don't erase, because I think on some level, Frank still wants Jack to be in the fold.
Sure.
But to be in the fold, you have to be a stand-up guy and be crooked, and keep your, and Jack says it's not about me ruining anybody's lives. It's about you crossing lines. Lines were crossed, And execution of the new plan. Bunker is gone. Bad guys surround him, try to kill him in a ruse, but he will testify, and he has the tape recorder. I thought the final image, and again, they did this really well in the ending they have. The alternate ending is terrible. 2 years out from where Eddie started, previously out of... Okay, so previously, you see this guy huffing upstairs. You see him, just looking like death warmed over. Now he's got a cake with how many candles on it, and he blows that out in one puff, right? He's got his wind back, right? So he's no longer...
Yeah, he's also surrounded by living people as opposed to dead people.
Yeah, he's sitting... That's a
surrounded
good
by life
instead of death. A new birth with the birthday.
And it's literally, a birthday cake.
As opposed to sitting in a chair. Yeah, absolutely, so that's the theme. People can change. The proposition that is tested, the movie asked and answered. Yeah, so I really thought I thought they really hammered theme and they wrapped it up. I thought really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I was mad. I got irritated. I teared up a little bit when thank you, Jack Mosley. You saved my life in that whole speech. I started tearing up. I was like, no, fuck this movie. I don't. This. No,
I was.
It's not a movie you get teary.
I needed to buy Kleenex every time, man.
It worked. It hit where you're supposed to. And
no, it was good. I'd forgotten that he'd done. James had mentioned the movies. I'd forgotten Donner did all these other movies that I liked. Yeah, we talked about what the alternate ending was. Yeah, being at the right place at the right time. I thought it worked. I thought they had good theme. I thought it was structured. I think we're right around the same points about these breaks, give or take. But I thought Donner really, and the writer too, knew story and told an action flick, and proves that you can tell an action flick and still have themes have things like theme and callbacks and meaningfulness and an action flick doesn't just have to be popcorn or whatever.
Right. Yeah, the standout scenes to me weren't the action. They were the spots in between the action leading up to the action. That was where the bulk of my interest was.
No, I would argue that the action scenes are the weakest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. How many and that's the thing though, right? A car chase is a car chase is a car chase. Mm-hmm. Unless you care about the guy driving or who they're chasing, right?
Right.
They get us on board with these characters, and then we're on board, right?
Right.
I thought that was really done well. And the writer, I have to go back and look. Richard Donner appears in this movie. It's some character in the back. I can't remember which. Also, the writer. I think it's that guy in the photograph in his sister's apartment because make sure you leave the seat up or put the seat down or leave the seat up and the seat's already up, and then you see that picture. I think, and I have to go back and look, but I think that picture is the writer. Yeah, and then Donner is in it as a background character or something. I can't remember.
Richard Wink is the writer. He is the ADA's detective.
Okay, all right. Well,
he's definitely in it.
Yeah, so maybe that makes sense because he's at Jack's party. Mm-hmm. Is he a white-haired guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Okay.
He's in the picture and
he's at
the table with
the birthday at the end.
Birthday at the end. Yeah.
I don't see Donner in here yet.
Oh,
there he is. Man holding birthday cake.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought I had was why 16? Why that number? Why not 20 blocks or 18 blocks?
I don't know. Yeah.
So I tried to look it up and see if there's anything. There is such thing as a 16-step program.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about alcohol. So I've always heard of the 12. Right?
Yeah, I've always heard 12. Yeah.
There was a 16. Again, I don't know if that's the reasoning or not. I was curious why they chose 16.
Yeah, because
I looked it up and that's really all I could find. So I didn't
signs
know
everywhere,
definitive, but
that's wild.
Yeah,
I mean it's a really well-made movie. Like I said at the beginning, it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. It's a really thoughtful movie. Every step was very thoughtful, plotting, methodical. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I'd seen it and I liked it, but I guess I wasn't in tune with the theme necessarily as strongly as I was this time, and then all the references to it with change and
right.
But it's an action movie, but it had me, man.
I think as far as an action movie goes, like if you were to stack this up next to a Die Hard or Lethal Weapon, it would fall short of those.
Agreed.
But I think character-wise,
it's almost like a drama.
It's almost a more character-driven piece than some of those.
Yeah.
Like I think Die Hard has two tracks: getting his wife back, stopping the terrorists. But I think that is straight up adrenaline. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't think you ever get to the point of adrenaline on this, although it is pretty tense through the streets.
Yeah, it's kind of like how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah. I think if the
ideas of value I thought were there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the action scenes had been more, I guess if they had spent more time on them, like if they'd been like it could be a perfect movie to me if the action scenes were up par, on par with a John Wick or Die Hard.
Yeah, but
in addition to the character stuff.
This guy's also a middle-aged.
Correct. So you're not going to have him doing John Wick stuff.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Yeah.
But it draws a lot of parallels to Die Hard 3 of you got to get through New York City and da-da-da-da-da. He's drunk. He's coming out of a hangover in Die Hard 3. Same thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I came into it looking like, it's Die Hard 3. It's Die Hard 3 Richard Donner style. And it is not.
Yeah, right.
It is a very good movie in a different vein.
Almost a slower burn,
Yeah.
It's like a Breaking Bad. Or like
how bad he looks, Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's some scenes he looks absolutely like he's
about to die right there.
There's some, Indiana Jones. Yeah. Sit down before you fall down,
Yeah.
There is a movie, and I might have remembered it before, but I forgot, and I just remembered again. I'd have to go back and look to see if it's a beat for beat kind of thing, but there's a Clint Eastwood movie from the 70s called The Gauntlet.
This is a remake of it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's the same situation. Clint Eastwood's got to get somebody somewhere, and there's a bus. I can't remember. It's been a long
This
time.
is specifically, I read that in the trivia. It is a remake or whatever.
Well, there you go.
Same story.
Yeah.
Similar story.
That's cool.
But yeah, I would say, do you want to do the pass recommend?
I went from a recommend, having not seen this in a long time, I would recommend it to, a consider to a hard recommend. Like I'd seen it and I bought it and it was like, okay, that's a good movie. It's Bruce Willis, whatever. So I would have considered, I considered it and I would have said, yeah, you can check it out if you want. To, yeah, definitely, this is a good movie. You need to watch it or whatever. Yeah. So the second viewing definitely made me go from, a consider to a hard recommend. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say hard recommend as well. In the research for this, I watched it maybe 4 times, maybe 5 times. And it had my attention every time.
Yeah.
When I was in the room watching it, I watch movies a little different than most people. But it caught my attention. I would watch it for the time that I was there, and then it held my attention the whole way. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess I have a recommend. Probably went from consider to recommend. I don't know. It's interesting. I guess I'm partially a little bit of both. I would say most people probably just give it a consider. But like if you're, I guess, really into movies and wanting and pay attention to stuff that's, looking for a little bit more out of your movies, then I would give those people a recommend.
Yeah.
But most people just watch a movie just for the hell of it. Like, I don't know if they're going to, again, I mean, like we talked about with the critics and stuff and the fans, even what they thought of it, like the way it did.
It seemed to,
I think they missed a lot of that stuff. But, because they're like, this doesn't Die Hard like explosions, and this doesn't.
You're right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a really good movie. More to it than I thought.
Oh, well, I recommend it too. I want to watch it again.
Yeah,
that was the first time I'd ever seen it, and I want to see it again.
Yeah,
That's high praise.
She was into it.
That's high praise. That's very good.
All right.
I like it. Yeah, it's a mostly recommend for you film people. Who
most definitely recommend.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, on that, we are out. Put my name first. I'm doing most of the work.
Yeah, that was good.
Just tell me, do they make it to the corner?
And I've watched that alternate ending, and it is garbage. Man, Richard Donner, yes, sir.
Right. I mean, he's being reborn that day, so is Jack.
Oh, yeah. I started seeing the signs everywhere, right? I don't know, Do you want the change? No, I don't want the change.
Oh, nice.
Brilliant. He says, you go out that door, everything changes. I said, yeah, because it's the second act.
Nothing on screen should be accidental.
A car chase is a car chase is a car chase. Unless you care about the guy driving.
It doesn't go where you think it's going to go.
There's a lot of money in birthday cakes, Jack.